So today is the big day before the big day. I'm here at Giant headquarters and we're preparing for the Black History Month celebration. I'm so honored that they're even doing one. And so they asked me to make a special dish, and I'm actually gonna make 3 dishes. So I'm going to make a Southern style collard greens. I'm gonna do a raw marinated collard greens, and I'm also making my Grandma June's famous fried cornbread. So it's gonna be really special. And I'm gonna show you how to do that since we're here. Alright, so my grandmother's secret for making the best greens was to always use a combination of meat. So we don't have a huge one big pot, so I'm going to do it in 2 separate pots. And the whole purpose of this is to make a very concentrated broth. So I'm starting out, I'm using smoked turkey wings, smoked turkey tails, pigtails, neck bones, ham hock, and seasoned neck bone. It's all good. It smells good. So we're just gonna put a little bit in each pot so that we can have like a uniform taste. Now these turkey tails are everything. Turkey tails really make the best greens. And it's important to use a combination of meats like that if you want that real authentic taste. Cut them real thin. This is a centuries-old tradition of picking greens and rolling them and chopping them. And we do this for every single holiday, every wedding, every special event. My whole life has been picking collard greens for my family. And I'm surprised that I'm over here in Baltimore, way away from home, doing the same thing. But you know what? To honor Black history in this way, I'm honored because the flavor of these is just unmatched. It's so delicious. And it takes hours to prepare them. It's a lot of attention to detail and a lot of love and care that goes into this dish. So I'm happy to be able to share it with everybody. So it's important when you're making these greens the old-fashioned way to cook it nice and slow. We started off with a huge pot of water and we're reducing all the liquid down so it's only like 1 inch left. So that way you get a really, really concentrated broth. And as you can see, look at the color of that. It's like a milky beige color. And that's what we want. So now to this, I'm gonna add the next layer of flavor, which is some bay leaves. I'm gonna add about 2 bay leaves per pot. So at this point, we can add the greens into our simmered meat. There we go. And we're just gonna let them cook down, and it's gonna cook in its own juices. We're not gonna add any more water to this. We're just gonna reduce as much liquid as we can, and the greens are gonna make its own liquid. This one has to reduce more. So as the greens cook down, you just add more. No, it's simple. But the key is to get that deep flavored broth like that. That's the key to good greens. And you leave the meat on the bottom so it continues to get soft and fall off the bone. That's the secret. So now we're doing the second part of our seasoning of the greens. We're gonna take a little bit of bacon oil from our sauteed bacon here. And now we're gonna add some celery. We're gonna add onions, bell peppers, red bell pepper. And we're gonna put enough so that we can add to both pots of greens. Next we're gonna add a little bit of black pepper. And I wanna toast up the black peppercorns with the peppers and onions just so we can bring the aromas of it out. Right now I'm just making enough for each pot. And now that it's reduced. So now we're gonna take some of our sauteed peppers, onions, and celery, and colored peppers, and we're gonna add it in here and stir it up. Yeah, look at that. It's gonna make one great pot of greens. Now to really bring the greens to their highest potential, you gotta add some of the Keith Lorren collard green seasoning. Listen, this spice is gonna transform any vegetable into a masterpiece, I promise you. It's gonna give you those smoky aromas. It's gonna balance the bitterness of any greens, and it's gonna give you a savory umami That's gonna make you want to slap everybody in your whole house. It's gonna be so good. So listen, I'm gonna open up the cap like this. I usually don't use the sprinkle top. I like to just pour it. So I'm just gonna take the seasoning like this and just sprinkle it gradually on top. I'm gonna add it a little bit for this pot here. And I'm just gonna let it do its thing. And as it cooks down, wow, you can smell all those aromas. It's really beautiful. I'm just gonna stir this in here and let it melt all in the greens. And you know, you taste it as you go. If you need to add more, you add it. But this seasoning is really gonna bring the greens to the next level. Y'all, that collard green seasoning, money. So delicious. Nothing else needs to be added. Perfect. For all of you guys that are vegetarians, this collard green seasoning makes excellent vinaigrettes. So I'm turning this raw collard green salad into a marinated collard green salad. And I just did that simply by making a simple vinaigrette with a little bit of vinegar and mustard and olive oil. And of course, some of the Keith Lorren collard green seasoning. And this is what it looks like. And now I'm just gonna drizzle a little bit over the greens, and so that this can marinate overnight and flavor the greens and tenderize them. Just give it a toss. There we go. Now what's gonna happen is the acidity in here is gonna wilt the greens down and make it nice and tender and flavorful, and it's gonna be so delicious. Lightly with just a little bit more of Keith Lorren's collard green seasoning. So you're gonna get a nice smoky vinaigrette. They're gonna be like, oh my God, what did y'all put in that salad? Keith Lorren Spice King seasoning. That's what you put. We're gonna let this marinate overnight and we're good. All right, so we're also gonna make some deep fried cornbread, which is one of my grandmother's favorite things. And we're actually gonna be putting cream corn and whole kernel corn in it, and it's so delicious. But to start off, we're gonna add a little bit of self-rising flour, and it's equal parts self-rising flour and self-rising cornmeal. We're also gonna add a little bit of yellow cornmeal just for an extra corn flavor and aroma, just a little bit. A half a cup of melted butter. Liquids and all. Then add a little bit of sugar. You can tell I'm a country cook because I'm not measuring anything, but I just know what it is. I'm gonna add just a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt, a little bit of freshly cracked black pepper. We're gonna add a little bit of the Keith Lorren collard green seasoning. We're going to add 4 eggs. And one more for good luck, 5. We're just adding just enough buttermilk to bring all the dough together. I'm just gonna add just a little spoonful of baking powder to help it rise a little bit. It's very, very simple, but very, very flavorful. Now I'm just gonna add a little bit of cream corn because it needs a little bit more liquid content and more buttermilk. Okay, now there's nothing I hate worse than flavorless oil, so we're gonna add a little piece of onion in here just to scent the oil and give it some depth and aroma. When you see that the onions are golden brown like that, it's time to take them out. We're just using them to flavor the oil a little bit. So we're gonna add a little bit into our scooper, and we're gonna do some test batches. Flatten it out a little bit. There we go. We want to drain them. And we're going to serve our collard greens on top of these. These cook pretty fast, so you want to get in there and flip them.